Hello, and welcome. So, I've just been out to the shops and I've been to a charity shop. I got a load of CDs and I got another really special thing, all just for £7. I was out in Beckenham doing all the charity shops and I went into one of the just one of the smaller charities. I'm not sure which one it was, but they'd clearly just had a new donation of CDs, because there was so much choice, and clearly it was all from one person's collection, because all of they all kind of linked together, like all similar kind of bands. But I was just lucky that I got there first, because I'm pretty sure quite a few people would have swooped a lot of these up. But anyway, they did me a really good bargain. The CDs weren't really priced. I don't think they really had decided how much they wanted to charge for them. And when I had picked up like this many CDs, it was like a whole pile of them. They just cut me a deal there on the spot. So in that shop, the other thing that I bought was this beautiful David Bowie canvas. Look at that. This is just really nice quality. I think it's from HMV. It's got a little HMV writing on it. So, this has become a perfect thing for my display in the background. It actually fits perfectly. I'm actually going to go and put it back right now. So, yeah, I got that David Bowie canvas and all these CDs for £7. Absolutely brilliant deal. So, let's go through them. So, I've got them all in a bag here. Really nice little bag. First of all, we've got a bit of Oasis. This is, I think this is Supersonic, the original CD single for Supersonic. But the cool thing about this is that it's a Japanese one. Really cool Japanese edition. I think this had an Obi strip with it originally when it was in the shrink wrap. But yeah, I mean, great CD single, Supersonic, Shaker Maker, Columbia White Label Demo, Alive. You get so many tracks on here. I think you get about 6 tracks. Awesome little find for an Oasis fan. So really nice to get. Next up, I got a record by James. I think this is the album with the song Fred Astaire on it. Just like Fred Astaire. So they did the music video for that on the West Pier in Brighton, one of the most beautiful piers of all time, sadly destroyed now. But yeah, I'm always interested in the group James. I've never really listened to them, but I've always wanted to explore their music more because they just seem like a cool, interesting group. And most of their records were produced by Brian Eno, who's of great interest to me. So I'll look forward to digging into that. There are a handful of CDs by Rush. So here's one. This album's called what is this album called? Counterparts by Rush. Never really listened to Rush very much. I was obsessed with the song Tom Sawyer a few years ago, but apart from that, never really listened. This next CD is one that I've wanted to get for years. This is Insides by Orbital, one of the great classic sort of techno albums. Really creative stuff, brilliant album. Wanted to find this in a charity shop for years, and finally I did. Next up, we have perhaps the greatest prog album ever, In the Court of the Crimson King. Of course, I have this on vinyl, but it's one of the best albums. Can't turn a CD copy down. Definitely be listening to that. Great classic album there. A bit of a soundtrack here. We have the soundtrack to the Doors movie. Quite a controversial movie. I don't think it was very accurate to real life events, but this is just all the songs from the film, so largely a lot of Doors songs. Another Rush album. This is Signals. Yeah, Signals. One of their classic albums. I think it's from the early 80s. I only own one Rush album, actually. I've got one of their albums on vinyl, so good to get more of them. Another absolute stone-cold progressive rock classic. We have Mirage by Camel. This is just like... You have to do a double take when you find albums like this in a charity shop. Just, when do you ever see classics like this, So really, really over the moon to get it. Awesome. Yeah, and I think I've only listened to this once. I've been recommended it many times from a lot of my friends who love this kind of music. So really excited to explore that on CD. Next up, we got a couple of Beatles albums. We got Magical Mystery Tour. Awesome to find that on CD. One of my favourite Beatles albums. And then literally my other favourite Beatles album, Revolver. So I am collecting these old 80s CD represses of Beatles albums. They're really nice to have in addition to the records. Another classic which I have on vinyl, Night at the Opera by Queen. Digital remaster of Night at the Opera. Love this album. I love all the different songs from different band members. You know, it creates a real kind of palette of all different kinds of things. You know, another classic, Purple Rain by Prince. Of course, I have this one on vinyl, but you know, can't turn the CD down. Another Camel album. This is Rain Dances. Never heard this one. I think it's them going into slightly more commercial territory. Also, a CD by Brand X. Brand X are of quite great interest to me, really, because they were kind of some of the core musicians who made up the group that was on Brian Eno's Another Green World. And when you listen to this stuff, it's so similar to the sound of that, you know, songs like Over Fire Island. So, you know, we've got Phil Collins and Percy Jones, a bunch of other guys. But yeah, I really like this stuff. It's sort of newsy kind of music, but very sort of technical and interesting, and there's a lot going on. Next up, we got a bit of Pink Floyd with Wish You Were Here. Really like the artwork, because there's many CD editions of this which had the other artwork for this, the one that had the drawing on, which was on the bag over the artwork. But yeah, this is an early 90s CD copy, I think. Next up, I think this is a CD single. This is Lush with Lady Killers. This too, so I think this is part 2 of a 2 CD set. Oh, and also another Kate Bush one there, The Red Shoes by Kate Bush. I think that's meant to be one of her better albums. Next up, an album I don't own from one of my favourite artists. This is Bjork. With her debut album. I own her second, third, fourth albums, but somehow never got this one, but it is a great album, and I do like it. Next up, we have The Who with, what is this? Who's Better, Who's Best, which I think is a best of for The Who. Next up, we have Pulp, His and Hers, classic Britpop album, which I still don't own somehow, but now I do. It has the song Babies on it, which is one of my favourite songs of all time. It was used in Trigger Happy TV. We have a bit of Yes with the album Talk. And just 2 more now. Oasis with Live Forever. I think that was the house that John Lennon grew up in on the cover of there. And also, this is one of the best ones I found. This is Mezzanine by Massive Attack. Absolute seminal album. The Needle Drop reviewed this recently, and I think he did it justice. You know, it's such a good album. I have no idea how I didn't already have this in my collection, either on vinyl or CD. But this is a great addition because it's like a digipack one, but it comes with this lovely thick cardboard casing. So this will be just a beautiful addition to my non-dual case CD collection, especially because it's just one of the best albums. You know, this was a big influence on Damon Albarn when he first started doing the Gorillaz. So that's it. That's all the stuff that I got for £7. So now we're going to move on to a handful of other pickups which I've gotten recently in charity shops. This is more just of a general look over the last couple of months. Not quite as exciting as the last stuff. So I got Van Morrison with his album Moondance. Never ever heard it before. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I think this is one of his 90s albums produced by Jeff Lynne. The Fine Young Cannibals, I think, with their first album. We have Wakey Wakey with the Toy Dolls. I really wasn't sure if I liked this. This was like an 80s punk band. I think these guys had a hit early on, but this is one of their later albums. And if I could describe it, it's like really bizarre. It's like it sounds like what it would sound like if the Angry Kid fronted an 80s punk band. Not sure if I like this, to be honest. Similar to that, we also have Captain Sensible with The Universe of Jeffrey Brown. So this is a concept album from the early 90s by Captain Sensible, who was in The Damned. It's a pretty good album for what it is, actually. There were some really catchy tunes on here, actually, surprisingly. I think my mum met Captain Sensible several times in the 90s. We have another Queen CD. This is Innuendo. I think their final album with Freddie's Swan Song. Next up, we have a really, really good album, real classic. Cypress Hill with their album Black Sunday. Really classic, cartoony kind of hip-hop album. I remember absolutely loving songs like When the Ship Goes Down and Insane in the Brain as a child. I think my introduction to Cypress Hill was when they were on The Simpsons in the Lollapalooza episode. Next up, we have Icehouse. This is a best-of album for Icehouse. Really cool 80s band. It's the kind of music that you want to listen to like whilst driving through the city at night. You know, it's that kind of real epic 80s sound, but a really unique band. I think they're Australian. I like the EMI sticker on the front there. That kind of looks like Bob Dylan. But this has got I Don't Believe Anymore, which is one of my favourite songs of all time, which was also utilised in Trigger Happy TV, one of my favourite TV shows. Next up, we have a CD by the Black Pumas. I think this is a much more modern band. This is from 2020, so really, really new CD to find in a charity shop. But yeah, I listened to a bit of this. It has a sort of soulful sound to it. We have the Stone Roses with their debut album, one of the really obvious classic albums, which somehow I still don't own. Pretty excited about this one, My Chemical Romance with the Black Parade. Classic album, of course. It was a massive, huge, mainstream album. But I'm kind of excited about this because it's got a really nice slipcase on it, and I just love when CDs have slipcases. It just adds a whole nother dimension to the CD experience.
Get some Nivea.
We have Elton John with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, classic album. Really nice album, one of his finest, I'd say. And finishing off with a bit of a bang, we have Wizard Brew. This one wasn't a charity shop find. I got this on eBay for quite a pretty penny of £12. So it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You know, you might get a load for dirt cheap and then you have to fork out for one. But I really wanted this because Wizard Brew is such a weird album from Wizard and Roy Wood, you know, kind of experimental art rock and roll, real kind of sort of very produced kind of sound. But this is a really, really luxury CD edition because it comes with like a whole album's worth of bonus tracks, which includes A and B sides of singles. So all of the famous Wizard singles from back in the day and their respective B sides. It's just such a definitive release. There's so much awesomeness packed within this, you know. Over 75 minutes of classic Roy Wood. I mean, I'm sold. That's awesome. So yeah, all of those were just recent charity shop finds, all for great prices, with the exception of Roy Wood at the end. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. And I'm going to be doing my Q&A soon, so ask me some questions. Cheers, guys. Bye.